We all hear random stats from different places about Americans and their financial situations. Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. Mortgage rates have increased to 8% this month. The average student loan borrower owes $38,000. You need to have X amount of dollars saved for retirement. And finally, the net worth of my dog Molly is much higher than mine. It made me think to myself, what would happen if I took a bunch of these financial stats for the average American, then mashed them all together to construct a person who is either going into or already in retirement? Yes, I want to create a human, but I don't want to do it the traditional way because then I would have to pay for him or her. So that's what I did. I scoured the internet to come up with different numbers like net worth, amount saved for retirement, how much debt they have, healthcare costs, and a few more things. Enough talking, let's start building our human. According to a Gallup poll, 70% of adults aged 65 to 69 were retired, so we're going to say that this guy is 65. I'm making him a man because the majority of my audience is male, and for any of you wondering, his pronouns are he/haw, because he identifies as a cowboy. A 65-year-old man today is expected to live until around 83. Now hopefully he lives a little bit longer because he has been a very active cowboy who has been keeping himself healthy, but as of right now we're looking at about 18 years left until he has to ride off into the sunset. Before retiring, him and his wife were each making about $63,000 per year, since this is the median amount for someone between the ages of 55 and 64. Kyle the cowboy has been saving for retirement for a few years now. When it comes to retirement savings, he falls into the household average of 65 to 74-year-olds that have about $426,000 in those accounts. Once he hits 75, he expects for those retirement accounts to be around the average amount, which is about $358,000. More about his expenses in just a minute, but based on that $426,000 and the 4% safe withdrawal rate, which is more of a guideline, he should be able to pull about $17,000 from his retirement accounts every year. $1,400 isn't very much, so he might be planning on spending a little more since he's expecting for those accounts to be worth around $358,000 once he hits 75 plus. Social Security should help out with any shortfall, but we'll cover that later in the video. Between him and his wife, the cowboy's household net worth is in the $1.2 million range. He's also expecting for that to drop down to $958,000 once he hits around the 75 plus age range. According to Vanguard, 80% of Americans 60 and older are homeowners, and household wealth accounted for 48% of their net worth. So Mr. and Mrs. Cowboy own a home. According to a national survey, they found that 44% of Americans between the ages of 60 and 70 have a mortgage when they retire. Since the Cowboys are just entering retirement, we're going to assume that they don't have their home fully paid off yet, but they should have it done by the time they hit 70. The Cowboy family thought really hard about whether or not they wanted to have the mortgage paid off before they retire. They knew that 17% of retired people don't expect to ever pay off their mortgage. Whether or not someone chooses to pay off their mortgage before retirement is one of those things where there's no right or wrong answer. According to all the finance nerds out there, if you take into account a low interest rate and inflation, then you would be crazy for paying that thing off early. But reality is different, and we do not live our lives in a spreadsheet. Homes are extremely emotional for some people. We can't discount the feeling of safety some people get from knowing that if crap hits the fan, then at least they have a paid off home to retreat back into. I'm one of those nerds who doesn't plan on paying off my home early, but who knows? My mind might change as I move closer to retirement. Plus, I can tell you that from the perspective of someone whose parents have had their home paid off for over 20 years, I worry about them just a little bit less from a financial perspective because of it. Either way, do what you want with your mortgage, but don't be afraid to change your mind in the future because who you are today and the things that you worry about today are most likely going to change a lot over the next 20 and 30 plus years. Something I want to mention real quick, I know adding a bunch of these numbers together individually doesn't give a 100% accurate picture of someone going into retirement. This is just a way to show you some interesting stats and have fun with it, so let's all relax a little bit. If we are basing his household debt on the average amount for his age, then he has $105,000 worth. That debt would be made up of things like mortgage, vehicle, school loans, credit cards, and medical. Here's a quick snapshot of the average debt for each of those categories for people in the 65 to 74 age range. We're all adults here, so I don't think I have to tell you how important it is to get as much bad debt paid off as possible before you go into retirement. Before I show you their expenses, please help support my little dog Molly, as well as the free content on this channel by hitting that thumbs up button. Now let's talk about spending amounts for their age range. According to Fidelity, the overall average amount is around $53,000 per year, then is expected to decline to $44,000. I know it's weird for us younger people to think that spending declines as we get older, but that's what I've found based on all of the research I've done and all of the people that I've talked to. There's of course outlier situations, but this seems to be directionally correct. Fidelity also broke down housing expenses as well. They found that it would be around $18,000 per year for someone their age. Once the Cowboy family get their home paid off, this amount should decrease by at least a little bit. All they'll really have to worry about is an increase in taxes, insurance, and of course routine repairs over time, which can actually add up to quite a bit, so they'll probably be house poor for the rest of their life unless they decide to downsize to a smaller, lower cost home. Healthcare costs are one of those things that terrifies a lot of people going into retirement because it can add up quickly if you've neglected your health for many years or you end up on the wrong side of luck. Fidelity estimates someone 65 to 74 will pay an average of $6,700 per year, so that's what Mr. and Mrs. Cowboy each plan on spending. They also estimate that a 65-year-old retired couple will need a total of $300,000 to spend on healthcare over the course of retirement. As someone who has had firsthand experience helping family members through medical issues, I can vouch for this $300,000 estimate being legit. For all of my younger viewers out there, prepare yourself now because it is no joke. I could spend 30 minutes ranting about how broken the medical and insurance system is in the US, but I'll hold off for now. All I will say is that medical insurance companies have no problem releasing people from rehab facilities before they're ready, even if those individuals don't have the finances to pay for the additional help at home. Trust me, I know because I've been dealing with it for the past 3 months. The system is a good way to potentially get ahead of this if you're someone who is younger, healthy, and it makes sense for your situation is a high deductible health plan with an HSA that you can invest in. That way you can start stacking that medical cash for when those insurance companies choose to screw you over in the future, because I promise you, they will. I'll link all of my HSA videos in a playlist at the end of this video and down in the description below if you want to learn more about it. When it comes to Social Security, the actual payment this family will receive depends on when they take it. The longer you wait to start receiving the benefits, the more money you'll get. It can also vary based on income during your working years. Here's a quick snapshot of benefit amounts based on when a person starts taking it if their earnings were at the maximum since age 22. As of this year, the average monthly benefit is about $1,800. So to make it easy, we'll assume that the Cowboy family will get a little over $3,600 every month. One thing I highly suggest everyone do, even if you are nowhere near retirement, is go to the Social Security website and create an account. Once you fill out all of your info, they'll mail you a letter with a code so you can finish creating that account. When you log into it, it'll show you everything pertaining to your earnings every year and estimated Social Security benefits. The monthly benefit estimate is based on how much you've earned up until this point, and if you continue earning that same amount every year between now and when you opt to start receiving Social Security. It gives you the option to assume that you'll earn more in future years so that you can see an adjusted monthly benefit. It also breaks down the monthly benefit estimate based on if you take it at age 62, 67, or 70. I highly recommend all of you go create an account, even younger people like myself, so that you can continue to monitor the numbers going forward. Going into retirement, there's a lot of unknowns that are both in and outside of your control. It's no different for someone like Kyle the Cowboy. So let's look at some of his biggest concerns as him and his family make this transition. According to a retirement confidence survey, almost 80% of retirees are concerned that inflation will stay high for at least the next 12 months. I think we can all relate to why this is a big concern for someone who is looking for some stability when it comes to their expenses. 74% are concerned that the US economy will go into a recession in the next 12 months. This is a very real issue that retirees face right before and right after they stop working. It's mainly due to something called sequence of return risk. It's essentially the risk of experiencing very negative portfolio returns right before or right after someone retires, which could cause you to run out of money. Going into the topic in detail would take me a whole video, and 99 99% of people probably wouldn't watch it, but here's a simple example. Two people retire with $100,000. The person in blue retires at the beginning of an up market, and the person in green retires at the beginning of a down market. As you can see, after 15 years, the value of both portfolios are wildly different. There's a few ways to reduce this risk, which I'm not going to touch on in this video, so I recommend all of you do-it-yourself investors research the topic just a little bit more. Another 71% of retirees are concerned about the US government making significant changes to the American retirement system. I'd imagine this mainly has to do with Social Security. I've mentioned in the past how I don't think people who are already in or close to retirement need to worry about this too much. I can't see these scumbag politicians who are only worried about getting reelected screwing over those people by making changes that they cannot recover from. But I can see them implementing changes for us millennials and Gen Z, since we have time to make up for something like a reduced amount. 65 and 58% have other concerns surrounding the stock market. This is the nature of investing in the stock market and goes along with sequence of return risk. 62% are concerned about rising interest rates and 55% are concerned about increasing housing costs. Knowing all of the biggest concerns of retirees, it's up to us pre-retirees to make sure that we try to get ahead of these concerns so that we can enjoy our later years with a little less stress. To help with this sort of thing, there's a retirement planning tool that I've been playing with and really like called New Retirement. They have a free and paid version. I personally bought the paid version because it's got a lot of value for us do-it-yourself investors. If you want to compare your retirement savings to 5 million Vanguard investors, then watch this video to your left and get my HSA playlist over there as well. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. More investing resources are down in the description below. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Done.